the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Marty.
Okay, you got the agenda ahead of us. There's two additions. Dave's got a drain to add to the agenda, and then a case management. We did interviews last week, and Justin or Angela are going to come over and present us with the new hire there. So we've got those two additions. Is there anything else? If not, we're in order to approve the agenda with the additions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we have the minutes from last Monday's meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from last Monday's board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll go to the first item on the agenda, and the first item is the RISE project resolution. Chris and Dave?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I don't want to do it.
All
This is
rise.
All to Chris's credit.
All rise.
All rise.
Don't give me too much credit here, Dave.
I thought that's what it was about. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Again, this is West Central Co-op in Ralston has a speculative business expansion of their soy plus plant, creation of about 14 to 16 new jobs in the next 2 years, and a sizable expansion of their soybean crushing plant, about 24 to 26 $million is estimated. So what this would do is improve 3,500 lineal feet of 210th Street, kind of locally known as Old Highway 30 from N58 County Line Road and then back west to the north side entrance of the soy plant. So Dave is prepared to cost estimate. Total project cost to do that 3,500 feet is $262,000. The RISE request would be $209,600. That is 80%, which is the maximum that you're eligible for under the Immediate Opportunity RISE program. So, and what that would do is widen that old 18-foot top road out to 24 foot and then put 4 inches of asphalt on top of it. So they're anticipating, I think, an initial, I think their preliminary number is 190 trucks per week on that. So the existing traffic count on that road is 100 vehicles per day. So that's pretty sizable, sizable increase.
If we apply for this, what's our chances of being accepted?
Oh, I think, Neil, the 80%, I'm not real hopeful for, but I think you would probably get it 50%, so.
So the chances are of being approved, but for a smaller percentage, they can tweak that?
That's
It's not a yes or no?
Yes, correct, yep. They'll look at total project cost, total traffic, total capital investment, quality of the jobs, so on and so forth, and then work out a number on that. You don't have a lot of jobs there, compared to the RISE program, for RISE programs. Usually they're $8,000 to $9,000 to $10,000 per job, so you're a little low there. So, but the capital investment is relatively high, so on West Central side. They've got some things they can do.
The jobs they're providing would be very good jobs, so
Good
quality jobs.
yeah. $15 to $17 an hour start, which is 100% of the Carroll County average on a labor shift, so.
RISE is a federal
No, state money.
state,
Yep.
okay. Well, at least the decision's made locally, or more local.
Anticipated, we'll turn this in probably maybe late today or first thing tomorrow, and then the DOT commission would act on that May 12th, I think is the second Tuesday in May, so if things go just according to plan.
So it's strictly a DOT commission
Yes.
decision?
Yep.
Can we influence that in any way, or stay out of it?
Stay out of it.
This is a very well-established Iowa company. It's not like it's money that's going to benefit some out-of-state or country investment, so I hope they put some value on that as well.
Seems pretty straightforward to me, so. Shannon, do you have anything to add? You've been working with West Central folks on
No,
on the
I think
expansion.
it's an exciting project. You know, we've seen other opportunities for ag expansion in the county, so I think that supporting West Central is a great opportunity. We don't know yet what other pieces may come into play. You know, we're kind of looking at other needs they may have to make this a successful project, but they have an excellent plan. You know, they've been successful with their soybean plant so far, so I think it's a great project.
And in addition to being, supporting an industry, it's an industry that supports agriculture, which is also very important.
Again, I talked to Bill Rainey from West Central this morning. He says, although he's not able to be here, he says he very, very much appreciates the support of the board and, you know, development officials on this property, so.
Virginia, you have a comment?
Where does the money that the county puts in come from? Is that a shift from other road projects?
Yeah, that's your question, not mine.
We were kind of, prior to this, Virginia, talking about doing something with Old 30 over there anyway. So in actuality, this will help defray the cost of that with some of our new road use tax money that we got. So, and we'll still be, this is only be a portion of Old 30, that's a 2-mile leg in there. And this will take care of 3/4 of a mile of it roughly.
And this is an additional improvement, what you had.
It's more than what we
Originally
planned,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, 'cause we were just gonna widen it and put 2 inches on, which is what we can do by maintenance. And this is gonna put actually 4 inches on, 3 inches and a leveling course, plus widen. So it's good deal.
I would say the timing on this couldn't be made perfect. We were planning on doing something anyway, so, or we're thinking about it, so.
Well, you're right, Virginia, we can only spend $1 one time, so if it's not spent here, it can't be spent somewhere else. There's always a trade-off. It's not like a link on Highway 30 or 71 where it's going to help a lot of outside traffic coming through, but wow, starting from the infrastructure, from right down to agriculture and industry in Iowa and Carroll County and a lot of trucks, it's going to rank very high.
We have other elevators in the county that are expanding and hiring too.
And I know this follows right along with that. I know we spent some extra money going into Litterdale, coming in from old 286. We resurfaced that for the feed mill there, so this is not breaking new ground by any means.
We made New Cooperative over in Glidden a pretty good deal too when we exchanged property.
Did the property exchange very good?
That was a pretty good deal.
Work, so.
That was a good deal for them.
And we worked with Arcadia Co-op too on that, going that road that went down to that new soybean, well, it's not new anymore, but the soybean structure, so. Yeah, I think we've in the past supported agriculture and elevators, and this is a continuation of that.
Iowa Corn Process was another one.
Iowa Corn Processors, right, that's more of a private entity, but.
So Chris, what do you need?
A motion, the resolution, I think is.
Yeah. Right here. Yeah.
Resolution to endorse the RISE application and submit it, so.
I will make a motion that we approve the resolution. You have a number on that?
2015-10.
-10.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, got a motion and a second, and it's a resolution, so it's a roll call.
Dancer?
Yes.
Ardmore?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Bach?
Yes.
Motion carries.
One more, and Marty's signature. I need to put up other things.
There you go. Right there.
80% is the max, that's what we're asking for. How far could that be lowered, Chris?
Probably to 50.
Probably.
Probably to 50.
Anywhere, right? Right here, right? Oh, right, or anywhere in there, Marty.
Do you need this one too?
Courtney probably will.
There we go. You want me to get this one, Courtney, then? Or you want to keep it yet? Thanks, Chris.
She's gonna share in the fun here too.
Okay.
Thank you. Whoops.
Sorry, is this for me?
Yep, that's for you.
Okay,
Courtney,
great.
when I get that full application done, I'll make sure you look at it.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you very
Chris.
much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you, Chris.
Thank you, Dave.
Chris did all the work on this, and wouldn't have been for him, it wouldn't happen.
You're too kind.
Very good.
It's just the truth.
Okay, we'll go down to the next item then, secondary roads, Dave.
Morning, Dave.
Morning, Dave.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Chris.
Western Liberty, not really. We'll be here in town, I'll be in town.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, David.
Morning, Dave.
Some people here that
But
weren't here
you're
last
tied up
week.
to-
Yeah.
Been glad to be here this week.
Back to a full crew.
I had a call this morning on a drain 54 in section 25 of Richland. Not really sure it's the county tile yet, but plan to go out today and verify one way or another. So if it is, I think the landowner would like to plant. That section of tile has caused trouble before, more likely is.
Yes.
Okay, I say that's right, close to me.
I need to know that, because that's the name of our section for it. I need to know.
Marty, that beavergram on 102, that was on the main ditch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's down.
So is that one?
It was right on the property line between Larry Bearings and Pete Simons. Is what it was. It was just, you know where that wooden bridge is?
Okay.
Just west of that.
It's not that little section that
No.
heads up.
No.
Okay.
Down.
I was reading, I believe it was in the minutes, where you were gonna get somebody to clean the dam out of drain number 90, that's one south of Thorns there.
Yeah.
Simons.
Yep.
When I gave the information to Marty, I just gave a message to his voice machine, and maybe I didn't make it clear, but the trapper who I'd sent out there, he basically, there's no activity at all of any beaver. What beaver were there, he think had gone, and in fact, he found a dead one under the bridge that had been, died for, I don't know how. But he'd also said that the dam was just a little dinky thing, and he didn't think it would require any removal. It's not obstructing the drainage, and to get an excavator out there to remove it would be a waste of money. And I didn't relay all that to Marty in the phone call, and I didn't go out there and look either, but that's,
Dave and I looked at it, it's about a 2-3 foot dam, and the reason we pursued it is there was a tile above there that we fixed, and the water was backed up into the
it
outlet.
was
which
back
is-
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's,
Then you better get it out then.
actually, it's done. There was an excavator gonna be just on the other side of the creek and doing some work for a private landowner, so he just did it while he was there.
Okay.
So we don't have to pay the mobilization, so
All right.
Marie's,
Got it
he was
done.
there, so we did it.
Okay,
That's the reason behind it.
all right, real
But-
good. Well, I'm glad you went out there, Marty. I didn't
Yeah.
go out there personally, as I
Yeah,
said.
Dave and I were there about 2 weeks ago and looked at it.
Yeah, kind of about the same place it was the last time, the
Mhm.
Beaver Dam.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I killed a bunch of trees, probably shouldn't have. I'm not even sure where to start. Keep it less confusing. I think maybe I will start with secondary road budget for sure, hopefully, for everybody here. To its benefit, this is another secondary road budget, not unlike the county budget, but,
You have one more?
yes, I do.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
But we're required to do one, submit one to the DOT every year in their format by April 15th. And that's what this is a submission to the DOT for the next fiscal year. First page is 4-year history and shows the receipts. Most everything in here is the same as the county budget, except in the meantime, between the county budget and this, we wound up with a road use tax increase. And it's broken down into some different columns. It's broken down into regular road use tax received, Senate file 451, which was a jurisdictional transfer, and then time 21, sum of those three, which I don't have the sum of those three, but that sums up to 3.7 billion in that neck of the woods. Below that is bridge replacement funds. Those are our federal aid funds that pass through our local budget, which this is just the local funds only that we're budgeting for in this budget. And we're estimating that 264,000 will pass through in this next period. Last period right next to it, you can see 39,000. That was the tail end of the previous period that passed through. We're actually going to do more federal aid projects than that, but it's my guesstimate that money will not pass through in this fiscal year 17 or 16 period. It'll probably pass through in 17. On down, there's miscellaneous receipts that are similar, in fact, exact same that we use for the county budget.
Question there, Dave. There's moving permits. Is that figure right?
Now, that's,
I was just wondering if it got swapped with the depot.
it gets swapped with the depot there, that's what that is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look over at the very far right, I think it's right, these kind of line up with this current year, but they don't line up at all. And that's another thing, under those miscellaneous receipts where Gene was talking moving permits, you can see in past years, they're 56,000, 54,000, and then all of a sudden they're 410,000, which is primarily the fuel depot. But the DOT budget handles reimbursables as a reimbursable. So if we do work in the fuel depot, we charge it off of that, and same way with the receipts, we would credit that directly to it, and thereby lower the expenditure and show an actual expenditure. But the county budget is the opposite. They show receipts as receipts and expenditures as expenditures. I guess the best way to say the DOT budget is kind of a cost accounting system where you're trying to show what the actual costs attributable to the account are. The two are different. Always in our estimated receipts, we always put them all in. We could hide them as a reimbursable, but to me, it's clear to just put them in and then treat them as a reimbursable right down the line. Next page is the expenditures. Everything's the same as the county budget on that, except for the construction expenditure. I raised that. The 1.221 million, I think we had like 830 on the county budget before. And then down under the 71 series, roads, 711 raised that. I can't tell you what we had in the county budget that raised that appreciably for asphalt resurfacing that we are proposing to do on the county line in Old 30 and in Roselle, all on maintenance. They won't come out of the construction end of it with the new gas tax money. Otherwise, new equipment, snow, all the rest of that is the same as the county budget. In the end, we're showing a county auditor's balance, second line from the bottom of 1.276 million. I think there's probably a good chance it'll be higher than that. But it's hard to say at this point. Any questions? That was pretty brief, but it is basically the same as the county budget, other than a change in those two areas. If not, I'll go on with the program. Got these miniature maps that we pass around. And miniature copy of the program that kind of relates to the map. While we're at it, this is fiscal 16.
You did kill trees.
Hmm?
You did kill trees.
I did. Yeah, I always wonder, always regret it,
Us better have a plan on that.
and so
There's always a bad one too.
there's the, yeah. Then for on that. So maybe we can start with the big map. I think I'll maybe start over with number 14 over on the Crawford County line. The Crawford County Supervisors are excited about resurfacing that road along with the engineer, and I am too, using some of the new money that we have coming in for road use tax. Do that. I have an estimate of 1.1 million on that. I think I might be just a tad low on that, maybe 100,000 or so. Crawford County has gotten a price from their asphalter. I have yet to get a price from our asphalter, but we'll have those two prices in that case.
And this is total cost?
That'd be total cost, yes.
So we would have half of that.
We would have half of that job.
Okay.
So more than likely, it's gonna be in the 600,000 range. Going there again is going to number 15, which is Roselle. Again, I'm sticking with maintenance items. These are not really construction items, though they're of considerable value, but they're resurfacing of 2 inches. For Roselle, number 15, I've got 40,000 in for that, overlaying that portion of roadway that hasn't had any treatment to it yet. And again, tying that price to the Halber job, less the differential in haul, so we should get a good comparable price based on a lead project, so we should have a good number there. And then over into number 16, Ralston, we'll kind of have a combo job there that probably will have amend the program if we get a RISE grant, and we'll have to program that portion in, whatever it would be, and put a project number in, but at this point, it's too late to do it. So we'll probably have to amend our construction program if we get the RISE project, put it in, and then finish the job with local funds, base the project cost on the Ralston, which is right next door to it. Hopefully this will all come to pass and gel. This is quite a bit to bring together, especially the RISE project and this maintenance project. And we will have to have a letting on the RISE project. And so if we do get it, we'll have to get on the stick right away and have a letting and get that done. Off to
Clarify that, we just talked about the RISE, and we were using a cost estimate of 262, and then here I see it's got 450.
the differential that would be.
The rise would be only for this portion here.
That'd be for the 3/4 of a mile, yeah.
Okay.
That would be the rise and the differential maintenance fund, so it's pretty hard to say at this
So
point.
it's the addition of the north-south piece.
Yes, and
Okay.
a little bit coming around the curve there, because we're only coming over 3/4 of a mile. That's my best guess of the combination of the funds.
I got it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry for not saying anything about that.
What are we gonna do in the north? Can you refresh me on that?
On the north-south part, the
Yeah.
very northerly part of it is 20 feet wide right now. We'll put 2 foot of widening on each side, and then we'll overlay that with 2 inches. And then the portion of it that's asphalt right now is 18 feet wide. We'll put 3 feet of widening on each side to make it again 24 feet, and then we'll overlay that with a couple inches of asphalt. Once we get to the RISE project, we'll do the same thing, 3 feet on each side of that, but we're gonna overlay that with actually 4 inches of asphalt.
But is that 2 inches or 2.5? You got 2.5 there.
Oh, yeah, that's plus or minus there.
Oh.
Yeah. It
Oh,
could, it
okay.
could run to 2.5, yeah. We're supposed to hang around 2 with our maintenance, but there's a good chance that it could overrun.
Is there any concern about, you're going to put more material into that RISE project?
Mhm.
Would there be any concern about the other, obviously, we're gonna, from the north, on both of those roads there, we're gonna have that extra traffic. Is there any concern about that as far as, we're putting it in that
I know what you're
3/4.
saying.
We're putting it in that
But isn't
3/4.
the north and south part more better, it's not falling apart like the east and
The
west?
very, very north part's in pretty good shape, yeah. And the rest of it's about the same. They told us that they thought if they were to pick a route out of there, that they would go over to that county line. That would be where the majority of the traffic would be. So we knew that we couldn't put the whole road in, so we took the piece that would be best. So if we'd underestimated it, there might be a time when we would add more to it. But it's going to be such an improvement over what's there now.
Sure.
That it
Yeah.
will be discernible for a while anyway.
Okay, thanks.
It's in pretty bad shape. It's got to be our worst paved road.
Yeah, we went over it. Yeah, it didn't look good. Okay.
I'll just kind of go over in Wheatland Township again. 7 and 8 are both box culverts. Both are replacing bridges. 7's a posted bridge. 8's an extremely narrow bridge, but not posted. Dropping straight south of that to number 4. We're going to fund that one with bridge replacement funds. Over on the side, you can see where I crossed out 200 and I put 250 in. We've pretty well decided that that'll probably be a 70-foot slab, and that's about the money that's going to take. We were a little undecided before, and I amended the budget to do that. That is actually on the farm to market system, so the reimbursement will come through the farm to market system on that one. That money. won't pass through the local system. Over Roselle, number 15, we've talked about that. That's gonna be a strong 2, maybe even pushing 3 in the middle as far as resurfacing. Number 9, down below that, on the straight south of Halber, is a box culvert replacing a bridge on an intersection. That bridge is not posted, it's very narrow. We have a lot of trouble with knocking the handrails off of that one a couple, 2, 3 times a year. And it's
It's
just,
so close to the pavement, there's not enough room to turn. That's the biggest reason, I think.
yeah, and it's a good safety thing, good.
Is that right on the intersection there?
Right on the intersection, yeah. Box culvert is just a real good situation there. We'll end that crowding. Going off towards Dedham there, number 1, currently have that as a 132-inch corrugated metal pipe culvert. That one we've had in the program for a few years.
Needs to get done.
We need to get that one done too, like Gene says.
It scares me every time I come from the south.
Quite a drop off there.
Well, that handrail's right into the bank, so
Yeah.
if you ever get up on that off the shoulder, and you get on that handrail, it's gonna take you for a ride.
Straight north of there, up to number 5. That one was one we were just gonna do with local funds, but we're gonna use our bridge replacement money with that, our federal aid for that. And so we kind of set that one back a little bit. We'll go to letting with that one and use federal aid funds. That'll pass through our local account since it's on a local road. Jumping over to the right, over to number 10, straight south of Glidden. That's a box culvert that's really undersized. We've had water over the road several times there in the past 20 years. And where the fire trucks have to sit out there, stop people. Number 11 and number 12 are, number 11, I think will wind up being a twin 54-inch metal pipe. Number 12, we're kind of undecided yet what we're going to do there. It's so grossly undersized right now, we don't really have the plan developed yet. It's something that's economical enough that we're vacillating back and forth between multiple metal pipes or a precast box culvert. Straight north of there, number 6, the one that we've chose to call Brody. It's to be funded with federal money. I think we got a $330,000 project estimate on that one. It'd be, again, 80/20, pass through our local budget. That's the 264 that we show in the budget that we'll be reimbursing through our local budget. Number 13, right next to Glidden there, is a bridge that's been struck by vehicles several times. It's narrow, and we almost think that one is going to have to be a small bridge, something I guess we call it an old bridge rather than a box culvert, though we'll make it wider than it currently is. 16's Ralston, we'll talk about that. Number 3 is another box culvert, another posted bridge, and we're proposing to use federal funds with it. It's on the local system, so again, it'll be 80/20 pass through with federal funds on that. And over to number 2, which is a very small bridge, and it's posted too, also, I should say, and got a real low posting on it, and another box culvert. And I think that's it for this current year.
This number 4, you said is gonna be a bridge, is that big as watershed there?
No, but the way the water comes in to the bridge, the current bridge right now, it's just gonna be a real difficult situation to try and put a culvert into and make it work. And catch the water, yeah. So we're probably gonna spend a little more money than a culvert, but there's, it's just not ideal. Yeah, I was hoping we could put a culvert in there, but And we probably could, but I don't think we'd be satisfied with the geometry of it.
And this is for 2016.
This is for 2016. I could yak on about the little map and the little piece of paper. That's the whole 5 years. On the small piece of paper, sorted it by TPMS number, which is the number, if you look at that clear up in the left corner, that 21,569, you can see it. You can kind of go down the sort there and look at 21,559 must have been.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. And you can see that's over Demon Creek, a bridge replacement, D8 bridge, and everything's in there. It's really small. But otherwise, I'd have killed more trees, so I decided against it. The big version of the little piece of paper is right here. It shows all of that. It gets to be a little more cumbersome. The TPMS ID is there, you can look that up, but you're gonna have to look around the map to see if you can find it, or look at the description. I think we've kind of hit most of this. I've added some resurfacing projects. They're mainly in the latter years. I shouldn't say all in the latter years, but fiscal 18, fiscal 19. Ten new projects in there. Kind of account for the increase in road use tax. Probably resurfacing wise, it's still not enough. It's interesting, I mean, we're going to have a big increase in our local budget, and not so much in our farm to market budget. We may have to change the way that we let projects. We may have to let some resurfacing projects with local money rather than farm to market money in the future, just because we'll have the funds there.
Backfilled with a new road use tax.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Dave, how do you determine what projects go into which year? And I mean, like 2018 looks like it's a big year,
Yeah.
and the next year's relatively small.
What I did with that, I tried to keep the local, the LCL, that top line, is the local projects. Tried to keep that in the 900 to $1 million plus range. 2020 is kind of weak with local projects, but those are our local dollars that we spend, here locally, the local tax money, the gas tax money that comes to us locally. The farm to market, FMO, is farm to market only. Right now, we're overdrawn in our farm to market account a couple of years. By 2018, we should be ready to let projects within that.
Oh, I see.
And then if we let $3 million worth of projects in 2018, we'll again be overdrawn, so we'll have to wait.
So you say 2020's up again.
Yeah, and then we can do it again. Trying to combine the projects, and it's not, at this point, not totally in stone.
Sure.
The first year, projects, once they get in this first year, they'll get done eventually. And sometimes, there's some of these that won't get done in 2016. I know right now, we're probably a little over-programmed, but they're at the front to get done. And if you look back in the past, that's what does happen. The ones on down the line, some of them may not get done within this 5-year period at all. Yet others will. The federal aid, the FA, that we have no special funds in there. If we do happen to get this RISE project, that would be a special fund, that'd come under SPC. Federal aid is our bridge replacement projects. Only we don't have an STP project program in the upcoming years, since we're doing one this year. This Halbert Lane is one this year, so it's wouldn't be in there, that federal aid. So, you know, and federal aid is federal aid, and it's not a local fund. It's a kind of a match. Sometimes it passes through the foreign market account. It's kind of confusing. It's like about 4 checking accounts is what it is. Some of them you can reimburse back and forth, and some of them you can't.
Dave, is it still true that the further out you get in the fiscal year, that they become a little less static? I mean,
Yes.
a little bit more
A
flexibility.
little more flexible, yeah. Something's bound to happen in the meantime to bring something else to the forefront. It always happens, it always has happened. And priorities have changed. And I think this RISE project's just a perfect example for today. Something like that would occur and just change your priorities, and the funds would shift over that way. And this is just a guess.
Yeah, Dave, as time goes on, you'll see that list get shifted around quite a bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But, you know, if you do look back over the years, look at the list, you'll see that, oh, yeah, by golly, that eventually did get done. You know, Gene's culvert down there, eventually we're gonna get
Right.
that done. It's, I don't know how many years, it's been 5, 6 years now, and we've got some other ones on there that have
We're
been.
gonna replace the railings about 4
Yeah.
times.
So,
But I had this out just a month back with the Farm Bureau folks, and it was actually pretty accurate, you know, as long as it was less than 2 or 3 years out. I mean, it was pretty
Yeah.
accurate. I think that Brody Bridge has been on there
It's been on there for quite a while.
almost as long as I've been around, but
Yeah.
almost.
And we're running out of big bridges, big candidates. We've got that Homlos Bridge that we're gonna put in. You'll see that down west of Willie, or east of Willie, excuse me. We're gonna put that in for federal aid in the future here, and in 2017, actually, so
Right.
hopefully we'll get that one done.
Here's one project, Johnny, that's not on this list, that's been on the list for a long time, never did get done. About Arcadia.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do, yeah. Kind of coming down to the wire, it's the 13th, it's today.
Time to get it filed, right?
I noticed the other day that on the 6th, there were 40 that had already filed theirs on this, so, and there were 53 that hadn't yet. I don't know about the other 6. I don't think they'd started theirs yet, I think that's.
But you know, as people talk to us, it's surprising how many times I go back to some references.
Yeah, I keep it.
It kind of gives you an idea, kind of, yeah, it's in our thoughts, we'll see how it works out. As I said, this thing constantly changes based on priorities, so. Right?
Yeah, it sure does. You would have ever guessed that would have got the road use tax, and isn't it interesting that we were over there talking about Ralston doing something there, and lo and behold, they come to Chris. You know, if it hadn't been for Chris, well, there wouldn't have been no application. You know, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah, you know, it's gonna make for some interesting scrambling at the time, and,
Any other questions or comments for David regarding the 5-year plan? Need a motion to approve?
We need for a budget and also the 5 years.
budget program, if you wanna call it that, because that's
All the same.
all the same, yeah.
Okay. motion that we approve the budget program.
James made a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the 5-year budget and program for DOT. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Also, we need a motion on that drain 54, don't we? To fix that.
We do, yeah. Just
Okay,
I'll make that.
we'll go back to getting a motion to repair drain 54.
I'll make that motion.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That should cover our bases. That should cover our bases.
That's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
It's good to have this kind of behind us, but I think we'll be amending probably county budget maybe, and the secondary road budget here pretty shortly, just depending on what happens.
Any update on Roselle project? Where we sitting? Are they?
I know Paul went down there this morning, and they've been working. They're about to make a bigger mess of a mess.
Oh, they're down there now.
Yeah, they
They
started
started.
last week.
They were down there last week tearing out concrete, and they're about to be tearing out dirt, and that will kind of make a big mess.
Here comes the rain.
Board of Supervisors, Marty.
Well, they no more pulled in town,
No,
right?
I think we got a good week this week.
They no more pulled in town, that's right.
Yeah.
Marriage license, that would
That's what I
be the
figured.
recorder's office, and here, I can just second, I'll get you a number here for sure.
This will be
Take it up here.
Courtney reminded me it would be good to sign this. Since we went electronic, we tell them to open the page. But it's nice to have a signed one, because then you know.
You know the recorder's number, I don't think you do.
You can transfer, it's 117, I don't know the phone number.
You know what, I'll just transfer you tickets. Just get.
Transfer 117. You can hang up once it rings.
Kind of hard to find it in there. Okay.
The code.
Oh, I see, so that's- Oh. Yeah, I can't look at it, that's kind of big.
Yeah, it is. Marty might say is.
Yeah, I'll talk to him afterwards.
Thank you. I'll get out of your hair.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thank you,
I did
David.
go out in the country.
Thanks, Dave. Gonna hit the country?
Yeah.
Head for Roselle.
I like to stay in the office.
Have a good week, Dave.
Okay, sorry to keep you guys waiting. Justin and Angela will bring you guys up. We've got some good news today. One of our additions to case management.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We did the interview process last week. We had 4 candidates, and I'll let Justin and Angela share the news with you.
Yeah, we offered the position to Kelsey Hood. She's a UNI graduate with her degree in social work. She currently is working in Ohio, living and working there, working for an agency where she does home visits for children 0 to 3. She's got a child on her caseload that has a disability, and then she has families that she works with that have disabilities as well. Plus, she's got some volunteer work from college of working with the specific population that we serve. We offered her the position contingent on her background checks, contingent on board supervisor approval, and also contingent on her transcript, because she has to have 30 semester hours for the qualifications. And the starting salary was $32,000 that was offered to her. And she will start May 4th.
It's kind of interesting going through the interview process. We had some good candidates, so.
Yeah, we had really good candidates this
Tough
time.
decision.
We were very lucky.
And using Skype is interesting.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you Skype her?
We
Yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Really?
It worked very well.
Yeah.
It did.
So she'll be moving here from Ohio?
Yeah, her last day where she's working is April 30th, and she's moving that day.
She have any family or anything here?
She's
that-
from Iowa.
From Manson.
Originally up, near
Manson.
Manson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fort Dodge area.
Can want to get back to the area then? Good.
So after you've done this, is all our background checks, is transcripts all checked out, or
We're,
it's still the process?
we're in the process, but she can still start the position, even though I think we have, 60 days to run all the background checks and everything.
So our approval will be contingent upon the background checks and transcripts.
Correct.
So we still have a little bit of a gap, pretty much all the cases getting covered. Are you confident that just between you three that you're able to make up Amber's?
Yeah, actually, Amber, she was here the first 3 days of the month, and she was able to see most of her clients within those first 3 days, so
Good.
that took a lot of
For sure.
pressure off of the rest of us to cover a lot of that, so.
Well, it's definitely good news, especially you got enough candidates to choose from.
Any other questions or comments? If that's the case, I'd make.
Thanks, Marty, for sitting in on those interviews.
It's interesting to sit in, a lot of background there. I guess with that, I'd make the motion to approve the hire of Kelsey Hood, contingent upon the background checks and the transcripts.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good week.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to the third item, is to approve the payables. Those in your packet.
I just had a couple things. On, the ambulance, we're making that down payment on the remount. I actually had Joanne move that to capital. It shouldn't be coming out of general basic, so you'll see it on here in general basic, but when we actually write the check, it'll be coming out of capital. And, on that same page, which is page 4, in general assistance, there's a claim here for Coon Rapids Municipal for client utilities. That was actually removed because they contacted Joanne late Friday and said that that had already been paid. So we'll be removing that and changing the ambulance to be paid out of their capital fund.
So is that the third one down in general assistance?
It's actually the first one.
Oh, the very first one, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay.
And those are the only changes I have.
Courtney had called me a couple of weeks ago about that down payment with Arrow, and I don't know, for the life of me, I could not remember ever doing that before, but they claimed that they were insisting on it, and
We did get an invoice
I,
from them.
yep,
so-
I told her as long as, you know, it, you know.
Because usually we did it as a lump sum.
Yeah, I didn't, I don't know. I've never
I've
seen
heard
that
of it,
happen
but I
before.
don't remember that we've ever done it that much.
I wondered if there was perhaps, because there was so much jostling back and forth and bidding and rebidding, that perhaps it was causing some kind of,
Heartburn.
yeah, a little bit there. So, or lack of trust maybe, but I mean, it just seemed like it was, I don't know, out of the norm. But I told her I didn't think any of you would have too much trouble with it as long as it all came off the price of the vehicle, so. Causes a little bit more work for their office, but other than that, I didn't see too much trouble with it. Do you guys ever recall having to make a down payment?
As long as I was on that board, we always did it as a lump sum.
Yeah. Okay.
At the end of the day, it'll be the same amount of money.
Right, just an extra check. I had no other questions about that.
I had none either.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, we're in order for a motion to approve.
So moved.
payables.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve payables. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We got a little bit of time. Do we want to jump down to number 6 to approve the county HIPAA policy? Sign the booklet here.
You want to do HIPAA policy?
Should we do HIPAA policy? We got about 5 minutes till
We
the.
got the plats too.
Okay, that's, okay, yeah.
Do you want?
Yeah, let's go to the plats. We got 4 plats.
Okay.
Let's look at that.
Carl, did you get my note on that plat for Staters?
It was correct.
Huh?
It was correct.
Okay.
The one you said was in the wrong board report.
Well, I just pulled up the map and it showed it on the map. This was correct, but on this map, it had it on Cook's as
No.
opposed to Streeters.
This is, there is a lot.
Okay, there is another
Yeah,
lot there.
it goes right here.
Okay, that's where it goes. Okay, very good. Okay.
Okay.
I just looked and it looked like they had put this on that, and measurements were about the same
If it's
too.
temporary, then you'll see it in, it should be in
Okay.
off color, but,
All right, they didn't have anything over there, which is fine.
yeah.
Okay, real good.
Question two, is there a reason why we're doing 1 acre? 2 brothers, 2 buildings. Different ownership.
They're putting 2 different buildings in.
So there's 1 on each lot. Okay. And we can do that for an agriculture building. Even like that, you have measures where we're taking out 1 acre of it. Yeah, there's an easement to it,
Yeah.
and we allow an easement back to 1 lot anyhow, so, but it's, yeah, and it's ag, so.
But on
they
a
did put
house,
an easement.
if you're doing it on a house like this, it has to find it.
If it's out in bare ground, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, because this is very round.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
If it's existing, maybe less than 5.
Yeah, if it's existing acreage, they can go down less than 5.
My other question on that one of the new passion pork, why they replat that?
I don't know, because it's the same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, there's, whether they didn't like the measurements or reset pins, I'm not sure.
Well, if they would reset pins, they would get a new plat. That's probably what it
If
was.
they moved it.
Okay.
All right. I will make a motion that we approve the 4 plats that were presented to us.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the plats. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Should we go ahead and open up the meeting? We got about a minute. Do we want to do it somewhere else?
Give it 60 seconds.
Give it 60 seconds.
Wait for the throng to arrive.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, and this public hearing is in regard to the Manning Urban Transition District. Carl, you want to start off?
Alrighty.
takes a minute for it to come on. Received a request from Gene Steffes on a piece of property down on the east side of Manning to go from, it's in the urban transition district, and it's by default, the use for an urban transition district is A1 agriculture. The request was to go to B1 business. I was looking at perhaps constructing an office there for use for, I think the sons are doing some maintenance for wind towers and just looking at putting up an office building. So this is the proposed area. Here's the anhydrous plant on the east side, Highway 141 going along here, and this goes down to the Manning House barn. We did notify all the surrounding property owners. Got two comments, one from the city of Manning concerning floodplain, and one from Aspenwall Co-op, and I see Jeff's here, so I'll let him talk about that. Taking a look at the floodplain issue, bring up the floodplain maps. This is new data that we've just received in the last year from DNR. They've done mapping of the rest of the county. Our official county floodplain maps are basically to the east and south, and does not include the Manning area, and doesn't include anything in the northern, probably 2/3 of the county. So this DNR mapping is not in effect for counties zone here, county floodplain, but it is under the jurisdiction of the DNR. So any construction in this area would have to have a DNR permit for floodplain development. And the blue is a 100-year floodplain, and the kind of brown color is a 500-year floodplain. So again, this property would be subject to getting a DNR permit for floodplain. And I do have the application here to pass on if that's where you decide to go. As far as being in the urban transition district, then just changing it to a B1 use would be just a vote of this board. We already notified like I said, the property owners and the city of Manning, and floodplain was the only comment that the city of Manning sent back.
Where's that line at for that transition line?
It sets out a little further. Let me throw the zoning.
No, I mean, the one towards, where do the city limits at?
City limits are right here.
Oh, okay, so it's right next to it.
Yeah, it's right up next to it.
That's the line I was going.
As far as the current zoning, it's all agriculture in that area, except for the anhydrous site, and we changed that to an industrial. Takes a minute for it to come back up here.
What does the DNR do with the application that they receive, assuming they receive one?
Well, they're going to look at the water flow in that area, whether or not he can build up. He'd have to build it up, either make the structure flood-proof or put in some fill.
So they can mitigate it by raising the elevation of fill.
Yeah. If it doesn't affect the stream. I mean, that would be their call, so.
You just heard from you said just from the city, that was it?
The city and Aspenwall Co-op.
Well, what was Aspenwall Co-op's comments?
Well, I can let Jeff address that if you want.
Jeff, you want to address your concerns?
Okay, Jeff Nelson from the Aspenwall Co-op. Our concerns would be if the elevation is raised on that proposed use area, if there's fill put in there, and then the water's got to funnel underneath the bridge on that gravel road, if there's anything that would cause water to be backed up on the back side of that bridge, it's obviously going to impact people on the south side of that, us to the east, and then the property owner on the west side of that creek. So, and talking to Carl, I didn't, previously know Carl about it, a DNR permit required, so, it's gotta go through the proper channels there. So that's just a flood control. The floods of '93 got us, we were pretty deep with water in our property there, but realized that was a major flood too, so that's our comments.
You had, Jeff had initially commented with a concern about possible setbacks from the anhydrous, but he had checked it out with.
We're fine with what
Yeah.
we did here a couple of years ago with the zoning and what was approved then.
Would you folks be satisfied simply with the DNR decides as far as?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for progress. I mean, if the DNR is good with it, I'm not gonna, we'll work with it, but it's just a concern, long-term concern. If you stop water flow going back to the northeast, to me, it's gonna hold it back and affect that bridge and possibly hold it back on the south side of that road.
Sure.
Which then it's gonna spread out and change your floodplain drawing.
And the flow is going to the north here, right?
Flow is going north, yes.
Yep. So it's, your flow is coming up the creek this way.
Yes, sir.
Carl, that elevation of the 340.88, is that the flow line of the actual?
No, that's not an elevation,
Not an elevation.
that's a parcel.
Okay, parcel
boundary. That's a parcel distance.
Okay.
I don't have any elevations on here.
That's what I was curious, how much fill they'd have to put in there to.
That would again be up to the DNR.
Highway 141 makes a nice dam there, so if you block it off on the east side,
Mhm.
trying to channel it pretty quickly to the west, you might
Bottleneck it.
bottleneck it there at that bridge. Well, if it would affect the bridge all long-term, and then just the
Yeah.
property owners on the south side of that bridge.
And again, this is 500-year flood in here, so I don't know, Mr. Steffes isn't here today to say what he proposes size-wise or.
Well, that would make a big difference, I
Yeah.
think. How long, what's the width of that piece of property? I did have it looked at home, but I don't remember it anymore.
Well, this is, let me turn the floods off there, otherwise it'll give me a fit. So this property from here to here, this is the net, 143 feet. That's without the ease, the right-of-ways.
I mean, if you build on the east parcel.
Yes,
or
I'd like
east
to make
section
some
of that
comments,
lot,
please, and ask some questions.
If he built on the east part of that lot and didn't affect the actual stream, we might be all right, but, no, like you said, it depends on how big a building he puts in.
Yeah.
Morning, Gerald.
Gerald, you got a comment?
Hello, everybody. I'm Gerald Snyder. I represent the SF LLC. That's right to the south of that. It is the agricultural property. And if he builds a building on that property, of course, he's going to need restroom, of course. And where would the leach field be on that there? Where would he put the leach field? No, that's good. If he puts the leach field to the west side of this property, say, it's going to be right next to the creek. And your leach field's only go about as good as I know, 3 to 4 feet in the ground. And that creek is a lot deeper. Now, where his arrow is there, you build that up with dirt, and you're going to back up, you're going to make the pool area a lot higher in the overall part there, say. And water will go from the bridge to the west, because it will take that much higher to relieve the pressure, because on the west side of town, they put the fire station 5.5 foot up higher, say. Now, Mr. Steffens hasn't said how much raise he's gonna make there, say. So he technically is gonna put a cofferdam, or not really a cofferdam, it's right. He's gonna make a restriction of that water to get through there, to get around, say, from the co-op and from our part here, say. Now, here I have a few photos here after a bit, and I can't think of any more to do with that. Now, high water comes, it will go where that 466 is, it'll sneak around here, go up to the 791, and it will run around that to get around, so I don't know how much higher that is there, say. And to me, on the west side of Manning, you've had businesses being taken out of business and put back into grass fields, say, into a floodplain. The MGM company was bought out, leveled, it's grass floodplain now. The same is with Dr. Rex Sandstru's building was bought out and back to floodplain again. Our intention here with the SF is keep it agriculture, because there is plenty other sites uptown, as it advertises in Manning paper, that there's industrial sites. Here we are in a total floodplain, once out of 500 years or once every couple of years. We don't know that. I remember the one from '93 yet, and that was a scary one, because they had cattle in that pasture. The neighbor left them up on high ground for a look. And I do have some photos here I'd like to show the board. And now this is a photo of from 141 looking towards the southwest. And this is a photo of from the top of the bridge looking the opposite way to towards back to where I was standing on the first photo.
This is a property we're talking about right here?
Yes, it's right underneath that, yes.
Right north of that, right here.
That is correct, Ed, where those trees are. Where the
Okay.
trees end is the end of his property, say. And this is a photo here of the raised area looking towards the co-op. Now, when the co-op built their nice new building, I'm jealous of it, I wish I had it. They raised it up so high, but if Mr. Steffens puts in a berm of 4 feet, say, he is going to raise that pool when high water comes, because it won't be able to go over top of the road. As you can see, the bridge is up in the air, the gravel road is down like they're always being designed, so the water can get around the side, say,
Yes.
in those few times, say. And
Yeah, I think there's two.
They're the
Yeah,
same.
they're the same.
that is why I think our farm part thinks that it should just stay agriculture, say. And like it says, with the leach field in the property, raising it up, I don't know how big a building he's gonna, if he can, you said it was 140 some feet, if he puts a 100-foot building there right up against the back of the property on the way, to our
East end.
right, to our right here as we look at it, he's gonna have to put the leach field on the other side, say. And we are for it just to let it in agriculture and then don't even go to the next step, say, because it is in floodplain, and like it says, MJM and the Veterinary Associates, they deleted those buildings, say. So, thank you. Any questions?
Does that bridge back up any water currently?
Not now?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
she runs straight through
They
it.
run straight through. How, does it take a lot of water to, a lot of rain to?
It's a large bridge. Yeah,
I don't think that bridge is a restriction.
That's not a restriction?
No.
Okay.
Not a restriction, but when you get a large amount of water, of course, you know, and velocity.
Carl, can you do elevations on this one?
Yeah, if you got some patience, well, let's see, you see how long it takes to load.
Jeff, do you have any
There you go.
idea in '93 how much water was sitting on your lot roughly?
2.5 feet in our office.
Okay.
It's right underneath that, like that 252 number there on our property is where the office, you can't quite see it. I wasn't there to see it myself, I'm told it's 2.5 feet
Okay.
in the office.
That's already 2 foot?
That's
Either
the white
two-
structure there?
Either 2 foot.
No, the white structure is their new
252.
shop.
That's a new shop.
Where that number 252 is up
Oh,
there,
okay,
that's
I
where
see,
his
uh-huh.
office is at.
It's, you
Okay.
can't see it because it's underneath that
252,
252.
And where the number 286 is up there, there was a trailer house there, and they had water in the trailer house.
Okay, that would be right here is where you're.
That is
Okay.
correct. And where the road is, we had marked it on the post. Jeff and I walked down there the other day and it has disappeared, the mark on the post. But there was 3 foot of water running over that road. And then that got backed up. I don't know if he can scroll to the west. Go a little bit more, please,
Yeah, it'll
till
come
we
up.
get up to
It's gotta come
the,
up.
I'm looking, I understand. My goal is to get up to the road, say, to the
Good.
west,
To going past the school?
to going past the school.
Yeah.
Now, that is a bottleneck also, and if you would go from the top of that road, now this is a big bridge here, and the one by the school, on the school road, is also a big bridge. Because,
Turned a couple layers off, I can move faster.
that's fine.
But really on that property, there's not that much fall, there's within 2 foot at the most, what it looks like.
Because in the thrash, there was pigeons in the thrash. And we couldn't figure out at first why there was pigeons after this storm. We figured it out after a while. They was sitting underneath the beams of the bridge, and when the water come up so fast, they drowned them. They couldn't fly out like they normally done. And see, for the water to drain from that area, after it pools, it'll go to the west, and there is another bottleneck which will make it back up, say.
Carl, what was the 93 flood, what was that rated as was that a 500 year flood?
I would assume so.
Now, see, there going to the west, that backs up quite a ways, say. And Mr. Stebbins gonna have to raise his building up quite a bit just to keep it out of water. So, anyway, that's our stance on this, that just leave it in agriculture, say. Thank you.
Thanks, Gerald. Virginia, you have some comments?
This is the city limits,
No, it's just outside.
Just on the edge of city limits.
will it stay on the outside?
I would imagine.
It's not an annexation,
Well, they can.
They, I
but-
mean, they could at some point, I don't know that they have any,
but at this point, no.
no.
No, it's rural at this point.
Well, the city limits, I don't know if, the first part that you see west to our left, right where he's got the arrow, that is Willow Creek Park, say.
And that's in the city limits.
That's in the city limits, and then right there where he's at, that's the city limits right there as he's tracing down, because our farm place is out of the city limits. Because, my mom and dad and I, we try to keep it out of the city limits so we can enjoy some of our toys. We get a bang out of them, so we can have some practice.
As far as the contours, Carl, what's the elevation difference between the lines, how many feet?
2 feet.
2 feet contour.
And you'll notice that they don't exactly match up with the floodplain, but they were, both the 2 foot contours and the floodplain were derived out of the same LiDAR data that DNR flew probably in 2009. So the 2 foot contours were a product that was put out right away after they did the LiDAR, and the floodplain is after more engineering, more tweaking from DNR.
basically between the stream and that, there's about a 12-foot difference roughly. According to the lines.
From base of the stream?
Yeah. Well, yeah, from the base, but
Yeah.
from the base of the stream. But the overall property, there's only about 2 foot difference.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat.
And,
Well, if you look at this picture, you can see it's pretty flat.
floodplain regulations would say that if you're going to construct in the floodplain, you have to build the ground floor 1 foot above a 100-year floodplain, or flood-proof it below 1 foot or below. So otherwise, if and when, and it's more when, all this stuff gets adopted into county floodplain, then that'll also go into the flood insurance rate map. And, you know, if you don't build something according to the DNR specs right now, you're gonna end up paying more insurance costs down the road if you don't get that elevated up where it's supposed to be.
So those LP tanks are actually in the floodplain?
They're in the
They're probably actually more.
They're in the 500-year floodplain.
They're in the 500.
Yeah, the brown part is the 500 year.
They're in the 100-year. Talking propane tanks?
No, they're top towards the higher end of the
Yeah.
blue part.
They're in the blue part there, Carl, they're in the 100-year plane.
That'd be north, no, no.
Right there, right there.
Yeah.
That's feral gas, yeah.
Oh,
Feral gas.
LP, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
LP.
I was thinking anhydrous, when you said LP.
Carl, I assume.
Those have been there for,
Long
God
time.
knows how long, yeah.
Mr. Steffes was given an opportunity to be here today.
Mhm. Yeah, I sent notice to surrounding property owners and to him. And I also sent him a second letter outlining concerns on the floodplain, but I didn't hear back.
So it's still ultimately the DNR is gonna decide what he gets to build.
Yeah, it's a development permit, whether or not you can develop in it and what you'd have to do.
Any other comments?
So I guess your option would be either to not change the use classification or change it contingent upon getting approval from DNR, you know, for a permit to develop in that floodplain, or just to change the use. I guess that'd be, he's still gonna have to get the permit either anyway, if he's still planning on proceeding.
Carl, you would have to get a permit from the DNR?
Yeah, he would have to get a permit from DNR to develop, then he'd have to get a building permit from us, which would be only if he got a permit from DNR to build there, so.
And then also, if we forward anything to DNR, the comments do have to go with that, correct?
I don't know about their process, whether they give a public comment period or not.
But we would submit our comments that we heard here, wouldn't we?
You certainly could.
Yeah, I would.
This is the first time we've actually
Yeah, I just-
had floodplain development, so it's new territory for me too.
Well, when the DNR does it, it's my understanding they will just say, well, yes, you can, but you have to raise the elevation by so many feet. Or do they also take into considerations any repercussions or effect it would have upon the neighbors? Do they take that in consideration, or do they just take in consideration protection of the proposed building?
That I don't know. I'm sure they would have to look at stream flow and how it would affect that, especially if you're putting in fill.
I think our decision certainly impacts, has to do with any potential impact on the neighbors.
Well, the reason I brought it up is one suggestion was to consider it subject to approval by DNR, and I was curious if we knew what they would all take into consideration before they made their ruling. And if they'd rule that, hey, there's plenty of drainage here, it won't cause water to back up and that type of thing, I would look at it differently than if they said, well, this is what you need to do with the building, but we're not taking any consideration to how it affects the neighbors.
I would think they would take consideration if you put fill in it, because there's that potential that it's gonna change, shift the water flow one place to another. I would think they'd have to take that into consideration, but I can't guarantee that.
Well, like Gerald mentioned, I can't remember what the leach field would be in the floodplain. It's kind of risky also.
There are other alternatives, but.
Yeah, you could put in a lift station.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
Advantage systems or something.
yeah. And it would be probably pretty limited use, but Kerry would be the one that would make the decision on
Does
that.
he have to even put a restroom in there? Do we know he's got plans to put a restroom in?
Well, you would certainly hope so, but it'd be fairly limited use if there's just gonna be 3 or 4 people in there.
Right.
But that would be Kerry's department.
Right.
Also, I'm curious where he's gonna get his water source. Does he dig a well there, which is plenty of aquifer below that area? Of course, rural water, I don't know how close they are. Of course, you pipe over to city water, of course, fairly easy with Willow Creek Park next door.
I would like to defer our decision until we hear back from the DNR.
Where do you get your water source? We have a little shallow well right beside our office.
Well, the other thing that concerns me too is we don't have any comment from G himself, what his intentions
That's
are.
exactly my
Yeah.
concern. I don't know why he's not here.
Yeah.
I can't support it personally. I mean, there's just too many concerns out there.
If the DNR come back and say, hey, Gerald's and Jeff's concerns are unfounded and the water's gonna all go fine, I would be all in favor of it, but until I hear that, I like progress, but I don't like it to be at the expense of an established people who've already been here. That's not right. They were there first.
I would agree with that.
They should have enjoyment of their own property first before it, be damaged by any neighborhood development.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to know how much fill he's gonna put in.
I think a lot of this, you're right, is the DNR is gonna have a lot of direction on this whole thing, I think. I'll defer to what the DNR thinks at that point. 'Cause I just know if you put fill in, this water's gonna go somewhere else, and then they'll figure that out.
Water will always find the least resistance.
It will make its own path.
Mhm.
So you're suggesting we defer and talk to DNR and see what their comments are first?
I'm saying we take no action, but tell Mr. Steffes that we would consider taking action subject to what the DNR tells us. I trust their judgment on this matter a lot better than my own. That's their expertise.
Does Mr. Steffes own this property?
Yes.
So, yeah, we could vote to yes, approve it, or to no, not approve it. I would rather do nothing until we hear more details from the DNR.
That's pretty much what I asked. Courtney, if there was gonna be another reading, so that we don't.
Technically, you wouldn't have another reading for this in the urban transition district since you're changing use rather than the district itself, but you certainly have the option to do that.
Well, in this case, I think we would want to have another hearing after we get word back from the DNR, so we could publicly support whichever way we do decide to go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If he decides to proceed with it, you're talking a couple of months out, so. I just talked to the floodplain section this morning. This is another issue, and he said they're a good couple of months out.
And then this would also have to go through zoning also?
No, not in this urban transition district. That's what you guys are considering.
Only if you're changing
Yeah, the district itself.
zone itself, right? Yeah.
Any other questions or comments regarding this issue?
Not here.
If there are none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
10:30, Courtney.
10:30.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your comments.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is why we have public hearings, so we can hear from the neighbors that identify possibilities that we don't always see.
Thanks, Carl.
So will our official action be to defer our ruling on it or to deny it for now?
Well, I guess you just said taking the action. I mean, unless you want official.
I would propose to take no action and
Table it.
let Mr. Steffes know that we will reconsider it after we hear from the DNR, if he decides to propose that, and he's going to have to be the one that pushes that forward. Does the board feel comfortable with
Does he
that
want his picture?
approach?
I think so.
Why don't you just hang on to him till,
Okay.
I think he went out already, so.
No, he's still out there.
Is he?
Mm.
He's got 'em. So at this point, we'll just table it until further information is provided.
Okay. Okay. More?
Same thing other, but yeah.
Oh, man.
Shut off.
He's getting a history lesson.
I didn't know he had any interest in any property down there.
Gerald?
Yeah,
his
I think it
parents.
was his mother's or something.
Yeah. And their Snyder was his dad. What's her name?
I'd send you after Dean, but I think we'd just be too short then.
You don't trust my hook.
He said we could just keep these.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to the number 6 on the agenda is to approve the Carroll County HIPAA policy. Carl?
Did you want me to go page by page?
Did you want to go page by page?
Do you remember me asking you if there was a summary page and you politely declined? I said, there isn't one.
I guess the question is if you have any questions. Now, this isn't the end of our work. This is a policy. There are some procedures we're going to have to develop, which won't come to you, but this will just be the overall policy.
I know John read it cover to cover, so I'm good with that, so.
I carefully reviewed it, and in my legal opinion, it is a policy.
Thank you. And we're the policymakers, right? Yeah, I trust entirely that the committee did their due diligence and we followed the ISAC template, and so I would feel comfortable making a motion that we adopt the HIPAA policy for the county.
Got a motion on the floor, we need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the Carroll County HIPAA policy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. You're off the hook, Carl, you don't have to read it page by page.
One final question, does this need its own room, or should we just store it in here somewhere?
No, you can have that.
Okay.
I'll make sure the department that are affected get a copy. Yeah, well, we still got other things to do with it. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks,
and
Carl.
Courtney, both of you.
Okay, with that.
And Megan also, Megan helped a lot with that too.
Okay, we'll go down to the next item is the Iowa Drainage District Association invoice, and that's in your packet.
I did talk to Rick Heck about that Sac County. You know, we got this bill from the Drainage District, or Iowa Drainage Board, and then we got the letter from the supervisors. They are having some discussions amongst them. All of a sudden, it seems like Iowa Drainage District wants to intervene for them, and that those three up there do not want that. They probably want to work with them eventually, but SAC wants the money to come to them. And Rick has told me, don't do anything until they get back to us.
between the 3 counties and the drainage district, they are trying to work out some sort of deal. So, but Rick's suggestion was, don't do anything at this point.
That letter we got was signed by Rick from, and also Dale by BV, but wasn't signed by anybody from Calhoun County. Is that just a coincidence, or is there a reason for that?
Kind of because Scott is also on that board of drainage, and he wasn't aware what they were gonna do at the time, but he did not sign it. And I don't know if he's available, and I don't know if you know what's going on in Crawford, or up at Calhoun, but they are down to 2 supervisors.
Yes.
And I think Scott's got his plate full.
Okay. I didn't know if there's any significance to that.
I don't know
I was
if there's any
gonna ask that,
significance
too.
other than that.
I know we've had some, it's just kind of a multi-step thing, and there's no rush in this. There's just a lot of things we need to decide yes or no whether we're going to contribute. Then they obviously are feeling quite comfortable asking us for amount, but that's our decision if we do decide to contribute what amount. And then next, if we do decide to give an amount, where should it come from? Should it come from the drainage districts, or should it come from the general fund? And that thought I kind of got stuck on. I'm kind of leaning towards taking it from the drainage districts, and then the big issue involved is Drain 23. Our largest drainage district we have no control of. That has their own board. So if we decide to take it from the drainage district, Drain 23 is kind of out by theirself. We can't cause them to contribute. That's their own call. So taking it from the drainage districts, if you do first, then you have to decide what the fair way of allocating that is, and you're only limited by your imagination on the different ways you can go there. But the big one is Drain 23. We've got, maybe 100 drainage districts that we manage, but not Drain 23. So that's kind of an interesting issue on itself, which I didn't come up with a very good solution for. So here I am again, bringing problems to the forefront without solutions. How do you like that?
And I thought about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, and I have to read John's suggestion that we take it from drainage districts. I tend to disagree with that, John. No problem.
No?
But,
Well, give me a chance to get that myself.
I know, but I want to get my.
Okay.
I feel this thing is, whatever happens on this thing, if something does happen, it's not just going to affect the drainage district. It's going to affect every acre of ground in the state and the country. Whether that's ag, industry, residential, golf courses, whatever. I personally think it ought to come out of, not necessarily general, but maybe local option or something like that. But, well, I mean.
I wince on that one.
Well, wherever you want to take it from, but I was just thinking where there's more flexible use of that money. Because I feel ag is still our #1 industry in the state, and I think it's going to affect every acre of ground. That's why I feel the way I do.
Can we actually take it, isn't the dollars that are in the drainage districts, is there a specific use that money is supposed to go towards, to maintenance of those drains? I mean, can we actually even take money out of there? That would be my question.
Greene County does.
They have what?
They pay dues to this association.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
they take the dues from the drains. That's how they fund the
Okay,
membership.
that membership.
Yeah, so, and they were.
So how broad
they-
is that? I mean, can we,
I think that they were considering funding this,
Through
if
there.
if they contribute through the drains.
okay.
Let me ask this, if we at least have do we have a consensus or at least a majority to agree to hold off for now?
Yeah.
Then let's not waste a whole lot of energy on how we're gonna fund this thing, where we're gonna fund it, what day we're gonna do it on, what color the ink is. That's for another day. I mean, until we actually decide.
There's a lot of hurdles to cross.
I want to, yeah, for me, and I'm glad that that's at least the majority that we want to hold off. I've thought about this a lot, and I want to be the last one in, not the first one in.
Well, I'm okay with that, but I do think there's a lot of merit in bringing up different ideas, even though we're not gonna maybe solve any problems, but we
Something to
can
think about.
think them over.
Yeah.
And I had a thought along Gene's line of thinking too. Even though this is a drainage district issue, it has to almost do, at this point, a lot more with litigation, the drainage. And how does the county react if litigation is brought against the ambulance department, secondary roads department, or any other thing? Do you just take it out of their fund, or is it a county issue? I look at this as being more of a county issue than just a drainage district issue, because it involves the whole county.
Keep in mind, the language is, if I understand it correctly, they're suing to permit the drains. So it's a drainage issue,
Yeah.
period.
But,
I understand where you're going, Gene, and I can't completely disagree.
but that's not gonna be just remember this. They're right now talking on that side of the divide. If you think it ain't gonna happen on this side, or anyplace else,
It's just gonna be a
You're wrong.
domino effect.
John, can you comment?
am I right, if this goes through, it's gonna be Katie bar the doors?
Yeah.
John, can you comment on the difference between intervention versus defense?
Okay, well, if I could back up a little bit.
Sure.
Courtney showed me that invoice, and I made the offhand comment, well, the drains ought to pay that. I think legally, it certainly is a matter of county-wide interest, county-wide economic development. There'd be lots of justifications if the board determines to pay it out of county funds rather than the drain funds. And how do you do it by drains is kind of hard. Drains are assessed by this assessment, these ancient formulas. I don't think anybody even knows how they work, but you have a computer. If you got low land, you pay more, and you got high land.
Everybody's
Well, how much
assessed
better
different
you
amounts.
serve?
I mean,
It all depends where you are in that drainage area.
And drain 23, obviously, which is most of it. So do I think you can take it out of county tax money, whatever fund? Yes, I think that would be permissible. So I want to back up that. And I told Courtney this morning, don't ask me for my personal opinion on what it is. I would just want to give you legal opinions. My legal opinion is you can pay it any of the ways that you talked about. So backing up, intervention. The lawsuit is Des Moines Water Works versus SAC, Calhoun, and Buena Vista Supervisors in their capacity as trustees of all these different drains. Sierra Club, I read in the paper, is going to intervene. Drainage Association, I don't think would intervene. They would probably file things that are called amicus briefs, friend of the court briefs, because I don't think the Drainage Association, but they could intervene. If there's a lawsuit going on between Smith and Jones, and you can prove that you have some judiciable interest in the outcome of that lawsuit, you can say, hey, Judge, let me in that lawsuit, let me be a party. So certainly, they could actually become a party. They would bring the statewide flavor to the thing in terms of bringing up more circumstances for the court to consider from different parts of the state, where presumably SAC, Calhoun, and BB would be focused on their unique situation. Whether that's a good thing to do, I mean, if you have 12 lawyers, do you get 12 times better results? I don't know. I would rather see people support the main litigants in their battle, because I said it privately and I'll say it now. We hang together or we're all hanging separately. And this will affect everybody. I mean, you want to have a permit for every road ditch that dumps water into the river? I mean, that's the direction this could go. So, yeah, I think it's huge, and I've been saying that for a long time, so. Questions, or?
I had some discussion with Renell Drake. He's one of the Sac County Supervisors last Thursday night, and we were just talking a little bit about it. There's going to be federal lawyers involved. There's going to be a state lawyer involved. In his comment with the Iowa Drainage Association, they will not get involved in this unless they're asked throughout the course of the case. So that's kind of where he left it at this point.
If they won't, say that one more time. if they
The
won't-
Drainage Association won't intervene with their lawyers unless they're asked to in the case as it goes on.
So why are they asking us for money then? And more importantly, I've got a real problem with it being called an invoice.
I think there was some
I
issues.
got a real problem with that.
Maybe that's the only form they had, I don't know.
I think they've sent us on an annual basis.
We get
They've
one
They've
annual.
sent us an invoice on an annual basis,
Yeah.
asking us to join, and we never have. We get an invoice from them every year,
Yeah.
wanting us to join.
Yeah.
They beefed it up substantially, obviously, due to this litigation. They made it sound much more important, because it is more important.
But this is called Des Moines Waterworks lawsuit funding, as opposed to, I mean, if we're not a member of the association, why would we even be getting this? You know, I guess that's,
Well,
Trying
they're
to
asking
pocket.
for $5,000 a year for a 3-year commitment. Not
right,
just one time.
yeah, that's true too.
It's kind of bad form.
Another
Bad
little
form.
background
Bad
here. This
form.
outfit,
Form.
this organization used to have, who used to be attorney for? Older guy.
Hudson.
Hudson.
Yeah.
They have since dropped him and they picked up a new guy, and I think that's where some issues that, from what I got from Rick.
Is this where that Doug strike works?
Yeah, yep.
Well,
That's what he's.
I don't think I'm adding more to the conversation. I'm gonna go to-
I know I gotta watch what I say too. Well,
Did you know about the treasurer's incident, that picture?
Oh, no.
He'd want to know about that.
I might send them a notice and send investors.
Yeah, he'll
Okay.
want to know about that.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Virginia, do you have a comment?
This association, this is like dues, this invoice, isn't it?
This isn't dues, I don't believe. This doesn't appear to
So
be.
you're not a member of the association?
No, we're not.
is that right?
Right.
No,
Clearly states what the invoice is for.
it's not dues.
It doesn't say anything about dues.
Well, then, actually, it's two different things, whether you support those counties or whether you pay
Right.
dues to this organization.
Right.
And if you're not a member now,
I thought it said they were gonna ask members and non-members, but I don't see what that says on here.
Gene, do you remember, there was some litigation, this has been probably 4 or 5 years ago with Franklin County, and there was some litigation, I don't recall what it was over.
The last one I remember that we got involved was with Calhoun County, and that was a drainage district issue with the railroad. on a
That's what it was,
culvert,
yeah.
On a culvert going under the railroad. And we supported that, and they did win that.
Yeah.
Because that was another case, whatever happened there was gonna affect every county.
Yeah.
And I think they got approval support for most of the counties at the time. I guess one thing
Virginia,
I'm
it says it's addressed to
I guess
counties interested in
we do
drainage.
Support this. And people put in
Whatever that
excess
means.
money and it
I mean,
gets,
that's everybody.
Gets done for less. But that comes back. I think a guy ought to not give too much away. The attorneys go.
Yeah, do it in phases.
Make it look like there's not that much there to start with.
I didn't like the fact that it says the second to last paragraph about whether you pledge for 1, 2, or 3 years and whether it continues, is that the IDDA board determines whether or not they do that or not. Takes it completely out of our hands.
So it could go on 5 or
Right.
10 years.
They don't know when it'll end, if it will, or whatever.
Right.
Yep. But like any other thing, they're just asking, on the other side, our response could be totally different. Could say, hey, we are gonna give X amount of dollars now, period. And whether we contribute in the future or not, it's up to us. We could say no. We'll decide that in the future. So-
And who did this request go to? To every county?
It says to all counties interested in drainage.
Okay, that's right, I did read that.
I would guess there are
Yeah.
about 99 of them sent out.
Yeah, I think so too.
I would guess.
Somewhere below 100 and just above a 98
Yeah.
in Iowa.
Wow, I don't know, I get Wallace's Farmer, this is the the news, this and the waters of the USA.
Everywhere you
That's
read
a
about
big
this,
thing.
this is everywhere.
It's a big, big issue in ag land.
And I agree with you. Whatever we do, I think if we don't make a commitment how much we're gonna put in, let's just make it, if we have to, I'd sooner do it smaller amounts. But then the third attorneys think it's not there.
Yeah.
They're the only,
Yep.
shouldn't say this, but they're the only ones gonna come out of this deal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there.
And none of this money is gonna stop any nitrates.
No.
Did you read the Register yesterday?
No.
Big bunch of articles, and I just glanced through because I got home late last night. And I first was, almost thought the reporter was one-sided, but I will say they were pretty well biased. But it's, they show where these numbers have gone up. But they've also said, if you look on the last 10, they have also went this way.
Yes.
So some of the things they're doing is working.
That last Wallace Farmer article, Chris had an article in there, did you read that one, Neil? That was a good article, this came Thursday or Friday. She's a lawyer for Iowa State.
Waters of USA?
No, it wasn't the Waters of
Okay.
USA, it was the Waterworks.
I read some of that yesterday, I'm not sure, I don't think I read that one.
Yeah. Actually, she's a lawyer from Carroll here.
Okay.
So we don't need to do anything.
We don't need to do anything, we'll just
No,
kind of
I-
wait and see what goes on.
All right, that's
Okay.
good with me.
Okay, with that, we'll get down to committee reports, Neil.
Real quickly, I forgot to interject, thanks you three who were here last week who could have acted on this without waiting for us. We appreciate that. I do, for
Well,
sure.
and I tell you what, we just got that letter from SAC right before that. That's why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I neglected to throw that in there, so thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna give a couple weeks committee reports. March 30th had the RSVP and the foster grandparent meeting. One thing we're having coming up is Mayor's Day of Recognition. It should be Mayor's Days of Recognition. There's 5 different mayors are gonna cooperate and work with foster grandparents and RSVP over different projects that are happening, and it's really great cooperation and good publicity for both the mayors and RSVP. Spring Volunteer Recognition is going to be on May 19th at Conservation Education Center, and I will be involved with that. A project that they've been working on is called the Little Free Library Update. They're planning on putting 6 of these Little Free libraries. First one is going to go in Templeton. It's kind of unique. To buy these ready-made is quite expensive. They have found some students at Glidden Ralston that needed shop projects, so they're going to build them as shop projects. So I think that's a great thing. Association meeting was held on March 9th. They went very well. Stacy and Melanie attended. The Speak Up program's going on. And I want to report on some water damage. Above the office area there, they had some leakage, and it was, I guess I call it a septic tank, but it wasn't under a toilet, it was under a sink. And it leaked down and caused a lot of damage to equipment, computers, and papers. And they got everything cleaned up. Insurance is treating them pretty good. The offices actually look better than they ever did because they had to replace the carpet and get some new paint and that type of thing. So those were the reports pretty much from RSVP and foster grandparents. The meetings are held together. Then on Tuesday, March 31st, we had a very good meeting with the Safety Committee. The first thing I want to report is in attendance was Chris Polking and Linda Frank, because we're kind of going over the guidelines for court facilities and security in Iowa. So we want to involve the court system, and they are on board and involved. It was great to have them in attendance. We reviewed the accident investigation report form. There's only 2 accidents reported since our last meeting, and our last meeting was in the end of January, and they were both very, very minor incidents, so we've been fortunate in that respect. Then went over the IMWCA website. They have a free DVD library and online university. It has a lot of programs that department heads can use that involve safety, and reviewed how to use them and what some of the programs were. And there was one safety issue brought up by the sheriff department. They are thinking that the air ducts may need to be cleaned. It seems they show up to work and start sniffling and sneezing, and so there's a question if there might be something in the air ducts. Then we went over a little bit the guidelines for the court facility in Iowa, and I think the good thing is the judicial department, the sheriff's department has bounced a lot of these things back and forth, some of these guidelines that have been set forth, and I think they're working very well together. There's still concerns that the courthouse is a multi-entry facility, and no exact solutions as to how to make it perfectly safe. In fact, you never can. But overall, very good relationship between our law enforcement and our judicial department. Then had a Region 12 Policy Council meeting on April 9th. This is a meeting that follows the executive board, which Marty is a member of, so I'll just touch on some of the major things, and Marty can fill us in on the details. They had the Transportation Planning Work Program. It's a very 19-page document. Chris Whitaker did a very good job of going over the basics of it and showing us how much money is going to be spent in what areas on different programs. Then we, among other things, had the executive director's report. He talked about a person by the name of Janet Adie, and she is a nationally recognized expert in rural economic development marketing, and she came here and got the tour around the region, and she could come back with some suggestions as to what they think would be good for planning and marketing our area in the future. And her background is a site selection consultant. They also announced where they has been approved a $1 million loan in Denison for Hill State Estates, and it's a low-income housing tax credit program where people invest in this and they get tax credits in return for providing low-income housing, and that's going to happen in Denison, Iowa. And, okay. Transit report, Tom Feldman gave that. Unfortunately, Western Iowa Transit has had quite a few accidents, several vehicle accidents and property damage accidents. So they're trying to get more proactive in preventing accidents, explain some of the things they were doing there. And they talked a lot about the idea of Western Iowa's reimbursement rates for mileage of being reduced from $1.42 per loaded mile to 57.5 cents one-way trip, and I know Marty's addressed this in the past as well. Then on the workforce director's report, Beth wasn't there, but she has released a first regional partnership workforce newsletter, and they plan on having newsletters come out electronically each month. The first one just out, and they hope to follow that up. They had some staff recognition, and Lisa Smith was recognized by the Iowa Workforce Development on a statewide level for some of the work that she'd done, so it's good to see some local people get statewide recognition. Then Chris Whitaker went over a lot of the local assistance reports and basically went line by line the recent grant activity, housing activity, where the programs were, and in what communities. And that was kind of involved there, and maybe Marty's got more to add. I'm just kind of hitting the highlights.
That was Tuesday night, right?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Mm-hmm. Thursday night. Okay. And then I also attended, as I did Mark, the legislative forum, which was held in Manning, just a beautiful facility over there. It was at the Regional Health Care Center. This water issues that we've discussed here was brought up towards the end of the meeting as quite an issue, and we also talked about the funding and education, and also the closing of the facilities in Clarinda and Mount Pleasant, and what effect that could possibly have. And those are my reports for the week, last 2 weeks, actually.
Okay, thanks.
Tuesday, we had CADC, we talked about the new fuels program that Neil and I went to. We had some more discussions on that. We had discussions on doing some of their site visits with existing businesses, and that housing is still continuing to be an issue. And then we went out and toured Reader's new store out here, very impressive. Then Tuesday night, I went to Western Iowa Advantage Annual Meeting in Templeton, and Janet Aden was also there to give the discussion. She's, as Neil said, a site developer. Very interesting lady. Very well attended. There was probably 100 to 120 people there. Very good meeting. And then Friday, I wound up, beginning of the week, I found out I had to go to Perry down to our new opportunities, or new opportunities for a visit from Congressman David Young, and he visited our Head Start programs, our development center. Our staff was all there, our key staff, and give an overview of what their programs are involved, and we gave him a tour of those facilities and visit with him. Also that came was David Bradley, which is with the National Lobbyist for Community Action Agencies, and the big thing he was there is to promote the CSBG funding that we get. And it sounds like they're trying to get more of that funding, which is the funding that we get to create some of these newer programs, or to fill in our gaps where our shortfalls are at with federal dollars and stuff like that. So it was a very interesting visit, and I think it's good. So that was my week.
Thanks, Jim. Dean?
Okay, I had the Conservation Board meeting on Monday night. They discussed the FFA was going to rent the Tigas property again at $237 an acre, and there's actually 37 acres there. They discussed the Coon Rapids campground expansion, which is going along really well. They're getting a lot of support, a lot of dollars in, a lot of donated dollars, a lot of in-kind donations from the city of all the wire for the wiring and all that type of stuff. They'll try to get some money from Van Meter after they purchase their equipment from them that they're planning on. They also talked about the Hobbs lease agreement at $35 an acre for 77 acres there. JEO submitted their two sites to that. Thought there was. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, their fee estimate for the Sauk Rail Trail, I think it's now at $45,550, and depends upon the land surveyor and the survey technician, that could actually be lowered. But in here is also what they're going to do for that fee.
Scope.
Yeah.
I believe it was not to exceed 50 originally, right?
Yeah.
So it could still come down from this if we use more, Denny?
Yep. And surveyor, that could change too. Depends upon how much staking there is, on the trail itself.
Do you have a start date on that yet?
I don't think, I think it was like July 1st or something. They weren't going to get at it right away, simply because they had so much stuff left over from last year that didn't get done.
Okay.
But they're going to have a subcontractor come in and grind up the trail. and then.
Okay, they're
then they'll
subbing
do-
that out?
Yeah, they're gonna do the staking. Then after that.
Are they gonna wait till they get close to doing it, or not that the trail shut down?
I think so. I think it's kind of, you know, when they grind it, they're gonna start doing the work right, follow it right back up again. And then, American Concrete got the bid. There was no second bid, so Morehouse did not put a bid in on the concrete. But it was at $24 a yard, which was considerably less than the initial bid that was put in on the estimate, I guess, the original estimate.
They bid $24 a yard?
I think so.
That sounds cheap.
Yeah, that does sound cheap. I thought it was awful cheap.
Just about 4 times that.
Well, maybe I got that wrong.
Did they put cement on?
I can check, I can recheck
Just the
that. I
water.
thought it was, I just wrote that down. Maybe
Just
that's
for the
not
water.
correct. I'll
No,
check
man.
that again.
They said they were price, they were very
Just
gracious.
rocking.
Yeah.
Sand and water.
I'll check that again.
Hard to for a month.
Spring work list,
That's what's wrong with
maybe it was 124.
it. Normally about 100 right now.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You know, I must have missed something there. I don't know exactly what.
I'd like in on it if they got extra.
Yeah, okay. I'll
I
give.
could find a spot too.
I'll find out what the actual concrete cost was, but they did not have a second bid. And they said it was a real good bid, in fact, in spite of the fact that there were no other bidders. The spring work list, they're gonna do quite a few burns yet, if time allows. They're working on, and I can send this around, 2 coal patches on the trail from Swan Lake to Maple River. I think they've got that. Denko is coming out to do that, whoever Denko is, I'm not sure. Doing a lot of tree trimming on the trail, especially around the Swan Lake, simply because of the fact that they need the room.
Somebody was
Yes.
telling me that. They really trimmed the back.
Yeah, I think they expect to hear some complaints about that, I believe.
Oh, this guy was actually impressed.
Cutting a tremendous amount of trees back. They needed 10 foot all
Yeah.
to work down that trail. And interesting, by the end of March, they had to be done cutting trees, because after the end of March, since it's a federal program.
That's right.
The brown bat or something,
That's
some
right.
specific, I don't know what it had to do with their spawning or their what, but something to do with the brown bat migrating through.
Yep.
We ran into that down on the lobby bridge when we built that.
Yes, so all the trees had to be cut by the end of March.
Anyway, I can pass this around. That's the work list that's going to be done there. That was the conservation meeting. And then I had Board of Health on Tuesday night. We had a hard time getting the Board of Health meeting, actually. It got pushed back couple weeks. Because we could not get a quorum together. And this wasn't a very real good time for me, but it worked out. There were several people that actually weren't there that could not deliver on the agenda. ACES training, new opportunities. There was a gal there that was talking about that. It affects childhood trauma, how childhood trauma affects long-term patients. And I think they're going to have a training coming up. They've got 90 applicants. It's going to be out at the new opportunity, or it's going to be out at the education center out there. I didn't know what ACES was. It's Adverse Child Events. And so there's a tremendous amount of interest there. There was an update on HPV vaccinations, trying to express the importance of the vaccination. They have a hard time, I think, getting that going. A lot of parent intervention there. And we just, like another note here, we just couldn't cover all the complete agenda because of missing attendance. But There was a comment about the bioterrorism and emergency preparedness. I think there was some concerns about shelter locations in case of an emergency. I don't know that much about it, but it seemed like there was concerns. They did acquire a new generator on wheels so that they can quickly get to locations, that needs shelter. So, other than that was my week.
Thanks, Steve.
Last Thursday night, the City of Carroll Library Steering Committee met now for the 5th time. I'd have to say cautiously and carefully choose my words, but this was really where, because we started talking about cost estimates, this is the first time we had cost estimates on the now 6 different alternative options. And probably the first time that maybe there was some red ears and faces and a little bit of contentiousness, for the first time that I've seen. I knew it was coming. It was, nobody had to be asked to leave or anything like that, or escorted to the door. Everybody kept their sanity. But, it's appearing as though 2 sides are beginning to form in this thing pretty well as predicted. Recall that the charge given to us by the City Council was to make recommendations on 2 options, and that was to either renovate the existing library or to expand at the existing location. Well, now a 3rd option is being raised by pretty much the people that serve on the library trustees and foundation, and that is to do nothing. Which really isn't an option. It's not, and that's where I spoke up, is it wasn't what we were charged with. The cost estimates range from, which essentially is a renovation of the existing library with just adding a new entrance, at $1.6 million is the cost estimate. That does stay within the $1.8 million guideline of which we were offered. But from then on, the options exceed the $1.8 million. The next lowest option, which I personally favor, is about 2.3. And then they range all the way up to about 2.8. There's just various discussions, that went on about that. Again, it was very lengthy and very long. We are going to meet again April 30th. Originally, it was intended we would have 6 meetings. This would be its 6th meeting, and it was pretty well determined that it would require 1 more meeting beyond that, so 7 more meetings. So that's how I'm spending my Thursday nights. I've got a little bit of a conflict with April 30th, as that is when we have our E911 and EMA meeting. We're going to do a budget amendment to take care of the GeoCom investment. And just a real quick word about that is most of you have seen the announcement that Jeff Kaler is retiring. Jeff has been our long-serving chairman of both the EMA and the E911 commissions. If it looks like my eyes are as big as the deer in the headlights, it's because it's becoming apparent that, of course, it still has to be a commission vote, but because I serve as the vice chair of the E911 and Doug serves as the vice chair of EMA, as we will, unless we have a qualified volunteer that step up, most likely we will have to be named to serve in those capacities. Not to diminish Doug's role, but E911 and the budgeting process for that is, and the expenditures that you do, well, we see it in our claims every other week, but it's a huge job. And all these years that I've served on that, I can only talk the talk and I can't walk it. So Jeff has assured me he'll give me as much training as I see fit, and Jeff isn't moving anywhere or going away, and it's still something very near and dear to his heart, and wants to see to it that it's run fiscally sound and prudently. So he said, I'm just the man to do it. So, but I am a little bit concerned about it and how that'll work, but we'll see how that goes. So I kind of put those two together, but there's a little bit of a conflict, so I'll have to go to that library meeting, perhaps a little bit late that night. And then, as Neil mentioned, Saturday was a legislative forum. What they had covered in the very first part of it, that you just had me a little late for, was they talked about the second funnel. That everything that has passed through the first funnel has made it into the second funnel. And, you know, the big one, of course, was already the road use tax and, you know, where they're going with some of this mental health funding and so on. So, yeah, Neil's right. I asked them the question. I said, what kind of advice can you give to counties that are being invoiced for this, you know, defense fund? And they, both of them kind of danced around the question. And I mean, God bless them. It's not their fight, but they really didn't have much advice whatsoever, other than they said, I'd wait and see how this thing shakes out. So, anyways, that was my week.
Thank you, Mark. My week started off last Monday. We did 2 case management interviews on Monday, and then we did the other 2 on Tuesday, and then Justin and Angela were here and gave us the results, so made progress there. Then on Wednesday, visited with DNR on setting up the site reviews for the Opperman site by Manning, and then the New Fashion Fork site down by Coon Rapids. The one for the Opperman is in section 29 of Washington Township, and that's going to be at 9:30 on Thursday.
Section 29.
Washington. And Dan Weber will be the person from DNR doing the site reviews.
Section 29 by Manning, so that's Ewell?
Washington.
Or Washington.
Washington 29.
Washington 29, and that's at 9:30?
Yep.
On the south side of the section.
Yep. And then the one for New Fashion Pork is in section 9 of Union Township, and that one is set up at 10:30. And Dan Weber is going to do that one also.
Well, you did get them both?
Yeah, we got them both same day.
Section 9, and that's at 10:30.
Yep.
Section 9 of Union, right?
Yes.
So we just kind of run from one over to the other?
These are both on the 16th then, right?
Yes, Thursday the 16th. Okay. And then, let's see what else we had. I guess Tuesday night also, we went down to the Western Iowa Advantage meeting with Janet Eady. And probably one of the bigger takeaways from that meeting was her comments on regionalization. And basically planning on a regional level was her big push. So it was very interesting, just talking the next day with Rick and Chris. They kind of went on tour with her for a couple of days and just showed her all the counties in the region and just showed her some of the highlights of everything that's going on. And it'll be interesting to see what she
And they
what
did
she
not
comes
get
with.
stuck.
No.
Took one of the vans
It's
out of
in
the
the
swimming
middle.
field after it rained.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Checked out one of the sites.
So it'll be interesting when she comes back with a report, what she comes back with, and I would guess that'll come back within the next month or two, is what the thoughts were. And then on Thursday night, I had the Region 12 board meeting. The first thing issue that we addressed in the board meeting was the housing loan for the Hilldale Estates in Denison. I'll just give you some of the highlights there. It's basically a $1 million loan for a 50-unit apartment complex over in Denison. It's on the north edge of Denison, and it's going to be a 30-year loan, and it'll be Region 12 will get a 1.5% of the administration fee off of that, and then it's going to be a 30-year loan at 6% interest. I'll just pass around the details on that. And then after that, we had the chief elected officials meeting, and we had to consider appointments to the RWeb board. Carl Bainey from Greene County was elected to that, and Carl Bainey and Doyle Simonson, who is from Denison, they were nominated to the labor sector for the RWeb board, and Doyle Simonson will be the primary contact. And then also we appointed 2 other positions, were Tana Bowman and Rich Osborne, and Rich Osborne will be the primary contact there, and these have to be nominated by the government on the state level, so that's where that's at. And then Neil talked a little bit afterwards. We had the policy council meeting, and Chris gave us an update on the transportation funding. Neil kind of elaborated pretty much on that, but I'll just pass this around. These are the funding streams from the federal level for the transportation funding for the coming years. So, and then on Friday, I had contact with Don Menser, and this is in regard to the Access Washington trip. Had some concern as far as the housing, if something ever happens with Mallard View and they do the community-based homes. Rick Hunziker and I talked a little bit about it last Thursday night as far as trying to get some funding set up and maybe working with Region 12 to get something done there. And Don was gonna kind of put something together as far as a summary of what, the Olmsted Act is what kind of comes out of that as far as the funding source. That'll be what we're looking at, and we're just kind of looking at putting something together if all this happens, if we can get a funding street on a federal level. And I think it's an issue that we need to kind of address as time goes on. So
she's putting something together, who's she gonna give that to then?
She's gonna give it to Rick Hunziker, because
Okay.
Rick said they wanted them in by Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that last meeting, because that's when I went down to the doctor in the morning, so.
Yeah, I talked to Dawn and I told her if she had any questions, get a hold of me or otherwise Rick, but she was gonna try and put something together by Wednesday. So that's all I had, and then I've got a letter here that we got from FEMA, just got this in this morning, regarding our flood maps that FEMA's working on. Supposedly we'll be getting the map sent out to us in June, and then there's gonna be a comment period or an open house and, for comments. And they want this to go into effect by November of 2016. I'll just pass that letter around. That has to do with the flood mitigation maps that Chris put together. So that's all I have. Courtney? Yeah.
Just two things I want to bring up in addition to the committee reports. It involves two meetings I'm going to be attending this week. And the first one, I'm not sure if others on this board have been invited, but 5:30 tomorrow, there's a roundtable at Region 12.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think everybody's been invited.
Everybody invited to that?
I'm gonna be a little late to that, because I've got ambulance tomorrow night.
We'll work together. I may need to leave a little early.
Okay.
So, okay, you know about
You
that.
cover the
It's
first one.
basically try and decide whether or not as government agencies we can get together and do things. Okay. And the other one is on Wednesday, Rolling Hills is going to meet, and I think the big decision we're going to be looking at is the Crisis Intervention Center, and I know Plains and Mallard View are both lobbied for that. And there's a big difference in the application. I know Plains certainly wants ownership, and from my perspective, I think Mallard View certainly wants to take care of the people. So there's totally different attitude going into it, but we'll see what the recommendations were and how that goes on Wednesday.
Anything else?
I remember the $24 was on the concrete. That was $24 less the actual bid came in than the estimate.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just didn't have it written down right.
Okay, any comments from those in attendance? There are none, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.